Okay, hey guys. I decided to do this as a video rather than writing it all out because it actually works well with visuals. So I want to talk to you about kind of where we are in this whole process with what we are now calling kingdom conversations. So it's been almost a week ago now that Becca led us through this process, the seventh generation process. Introducing into our midst, we gathered some other folks. So Kevin Anthony, Tom Robinson, and Sue Ulmer joined us. And I hope you guys will stick with us here. I'm including you on the distribution list until you tell me to take you off. But as Ken has often said, this is the culmination of a process that we started like 2.5 years ago. And recently, it's sort of like, I'm not sure exactly where it is we're going because I'm personally not as confident. I'm way less confident than I was that we're actually going to be able to help local congregations transform. But this is about how it is that we as humans in faith-based communities can become what the world needs now and what the human community needs now. So a month ago, Becca said, oh, hey, came across this thing by Joanna Macy, and here's what we're going to do. Let's try this. Should we do it? Yeah, okay, we'll do this. Without having a really clear idea, it seemed to me, about how is this moving forward, what it is that we've been trying to do, this sort of discerning of the direction that we're going that we've been in the process of for so long. Well, I think it was brilliant. It was very helpful for me in terms of discerning where it is that we might be going. And so I want to share with you some of what I've been thinking about as kind of, processing what we did last Monday. The particular exercise that we did, I don't know what to call the structure of it. I'm calling it, let me pull this up here. I'm going to call it Dyad Dialogue here. And it's sort of, for me, kind of on a par with World Café, open space conversations, circles, appreciative inquiry. There's a variety of ways in which groups of people can have conversations that have the kind of depth to them that facilitates personal transformation, relational transformation, cultural transformation, and that's what it is that I'm looking for. There's an organization called The Art of Hosting that I'd like to tell you all about at some point. Some of you I've had that conversation with, but so this is an example of a particular kind of technology for having a conversation that facilitates transformation. So I got a series of points that I want to bring up here, just kind of how it is that that's true and where I can see this potentially going for us. Because this as a model for how to have conversations has some real advantages to it, as we're particularly in this time of social distancing. One being that it's much more possible to control the process of the conversation and to kind of lead people into a parallel process than you can do in something like circles. But you can do it with a much smaller group than you would need certainly for open space or for World Café. So that this is a really good technology. So I want to talk about what the technology needs to do before it to work. And by work, essentially what I mean by work, there you go, is that it's going to be able to enable transformation that is personal, relational, and collective, which is to say that it's something that we can do that's going to change us in our own person, in our own space, right? That it's something that actually transforms our relationships with each other. And in the process of that, we're going to transform the whole culture. Everything's going to be different for all of us. Okay? So that's one of the things that I think this thing does really well. the transformation that we seek is also, and let me just say about transformation for a moment. I'm realizing now I left this out. By transformation, what I mean is the capacity to move to a way of understanding reality and thus engaging with it that is both more complex and more effective. And that we want to continue to do that. So we're doing this around issues that are both urgent and most urgent and most robust. Doesn't make sense to do this about stuff that's not really critically important to us. Why would we care, right? So these are things that matter, and we're looking for ways of engaging the world that are actually going to make a difference that is sustainable. Okay. So how do we do that? We transform because we're involved in perspectives that are both novel and compelling. We've had this conversation in other spaces where we're talking about what are the things that you've done in your life that was transformative for you. Certainly one of them is traveling outside the United States. You get outside of the country, you look back, you say, oh, wow, it looks different from here. You read a book, you hear a lecture, you go to a play, you read poetry, you hear music. There are various things that happen that transform us because they're compelling, they really move us, and because they're novel, they're new. It may not be new in the sense that I never knew of this before, but there's something about being able to look at it and say, oh, right, yeah. I thought I knew that, but no, I'm seeing something that I didn't see before. Okay? So transformation is growth from one stage of development to one that it is more structurally complex and effective. I've got this in the notes that you'll see down below there. All right. So what is a perspective? I think it's important to be really clear about if what we're doing when we're going to engage in transformation is that we are presenting for folks a novel perspective that is compelling, we need to talk about what a perspective is. When I'm looking at something, I'm focusing on something, in this case it's the tree, right? That becomes the focus of my attention. But I'm looking at it from somewhere. There's a place where I'm standing. There's a point of view. And as I'm looking at it, I'm making sense of it through a kind of interpretive lens or map. All right? So in the process of what we did on the February 8th, the focus was created for us by the questions. And so the person from the future says to the person from the present, to the ancestor, here's this question, here's what I'm wondering about. And the question gets both of them to look at the same thing, to look at where do you get the strength to do what you do? Why do you care about what's happening in the future? What is it like for you to see these things happening in your time that are so destructive, right? We're going to focus on the same things, but we're looking at it from different perspectives. We're looking at it from who we are now or who we would be if we were our descendants 200 years from now, right? So we're holding different locus, right? So the eye, the place that we're looking from is different, but we're looking through the same lens at the same thing. The lens in this case is an understanding of the industrial, what did we call that? The industrial growth culture and the Great Turning. Here's a couple of concepts that we're going to use as an interpretive lens where we look at the same thing, but we're looking at it from different points of view. And in the process of seeing it from different points of view, we not only see the other's perspective, but we also see our own perspective in a new way. And this is one of the things that I think that is most powerful about this, is that it allows us, it demands that we actually look into our own interior. So when somebody presents a perspective from the outside, I listen to a lecture, I read a book, that may be compelling. But when the process invites me to look at my own interior, So what's going on inside of me? What is this like for me? That new perspective is far more powerful in terms of effecting transformation than just something that I heard somebody say. It is intrinsically more compelling. So this technique did a really good job for me of inviting me into my own interior. I think I said when we kind of debriefed, that as a person in the present being asked by somebody, one of my descendants, why did you do this? It was obvious why I did it. I didn't know why. Why am I doing this? Because how could I be anybody else? It wasn't like, that was new for me. I mean, it wasn't like I'd never thought of it before, but there was something about it that engaged me with like, well, of course, it has to be this way. It's this way for all humans. And that means even those people that we disagree with, even the people who are trying to gather as much carbon out of the ground and throw it in the atmosphere as possible, even for them, they want what's best for their descendants. They just don't know that what they're doing is so incredibly damaging. So, in short, I think this is a great technology. I think it's one we can adapt to lots of different ways to do it. And it's going to happen. It will, to the degree to which it works, it will happen because it presents for folks an opportunity to engage a perspective that's novel and compelling, which allows them to look at something from a perspective they haven't seen before, and thus is going to push us into our own transformation in such a way that we're not just personally transformed. We actually have a different kind of relationship with each other such that we form a different kind of culture. Okay, so I really want to get your comments about this, and I hope it works to have watched this video rather than reading what I wrote, because this would be about 10 pages long. Okay, so let me know, and I will see you at 4 o'clock on the 22nd, except for Mary. Mary, I'm sorry you're not going to be able to join us. We look forward to you being able to join us soon. All right. Talk to you soon, guys.